All right, so good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Bohorquez. Thank you for coming into the clinic today. Before we start, what do you prefer for me to call you or refer to you as?
Marissa. Marissa's
Marissa?
fine.
Okay, well, it's nice to meet you, Marissa. So, this session that we're about to do is we're just going to get a little overview of what brought you into the clinic today, just a little bit of a background. It's a triage session, so we're not going to go too deep. It's not going to take too long, but
Okay.
just kind of what brought you in, what stresses are, and where we can go from there. Whether it's continued service, group therapy, referring you like to an MFLAG or something like that.
Okay.
So, all right. So before we start, there are some things that I have to go over with every client. Limits of confidentiality. So everything that we discuss in here is confidential. It's not going to leave this room, but there is some aspect or some things that I cannot keep to myself. So that would be harm to your or risk to yourself or anybody else. So
Okay.
if you disclose any intent to harm or kill yourself or harm or kill anybody else, then I do need to disclose that.
Okay.
Same thing with abuse. So if you disclose that you yourself are being abused or know of anybody who's being abused, or you're excuse me, if you're abusing anybody else, then I do have to disclose that.
Okay.
And certain UCMJ violations, then I do have to disclose that too. So
Okay.
do you understand those limits of confidentiality?
Yeah.
All right, great. So I'm going to start by getting some demographic info about you. So how old are you?
I'm 28.
28 years old. And you are a second lieutenant?
I'm a staff sergeant.
Staff sergeant? Okay, sorry about that.
You're good.
And how long have you been in the military?
9 years.
9 years. Okay, and what's your MOS?
68 X-ray.
68. Extra as behavioral health specialist, right? Okay, and how long have you been at this duty station?
I've been here about 6 months.
Okay, any deployment history?
No.
Okay, are you married, single?
I'm married.
Married.
Yeah.
Any kids?
Nope.
Okay, that should be all the info I need right there. So, what brought you into the clinic today?
I'm having a really hard time with work right now. I have a supervisor that I just do not get along with, and it is getting me to the point where I just hate going to work.
Okay, so some work stress sounds
Yeah.
like it. So,
Yeah.
what about this supervisor is making you hate going to work?
So it's a civilian. She's like a GS-12 or something, and we just don't see eye to eye. We operate very differently in kind of like how we do things and how we take care of our staff, and I feel like she doesn't actually know what's going on a lot of the times, and so I'm doing all of my work and hers is what it feels like.
Okay, that sounds very frustrating.
Yeah, and it's super because I have 3 clinics. That's not the only clinic I have, but that's a supervisor I don't get along with, and so that clinic takes up all of my time. So I have no time to deal with the other 2 clinics that I'm also responsible for.
Okay, so you're picking up after her work a lot
Mm-hmm.
while having your own workload.
Yes. Yeah.
Sounds pretty stressful to me.
Yeah. Very very stressful.
Okay, so have you tried how have you dealt with this? Like, besides picking up after her workload, have you tried kind of working with her a little bit, seeing what her blocks are to how she handles her job?
Yes. So I tried to have a conversation with her, and she shut the door and just yelled at me. And she's like double my age, and so I don't know, like she's older than my parents, and so it was kind of crazy to me that she was resorting to like yelling and screaming at me when I told her that I was feeling like I was picking up a lot more of the workload, and so the conversation didn't go well at all.
So it sounds like you tried to voice your concerns, but
Mm-hmm.
you were just literally the door was shut on you, and
Yeah.
you were screamed at.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like very rough communication. Okay.
Yeah, did not work out well.
Yeah. So, has this been happening the entire 6 months that you've been on this base?
Nope. So the first 3 months I got here, everything was fine. We went off to a yoga training together. Like we shared a bunk bed for 2 weeks. Like everything was good. We were getting along great. I felt like I really, like, we understood each other. And then something happened to where I noticed I was picking up a lot more of the work, especially because we just switched over to Genesis. So, like, the whole hospital, like, had to migrate to a new, like, documentation system. After that switch, I don't know if maybe she felt overwhelmed with Genesis and the transition or what happened, but everything just started going downhill from there. She was more snippy with me, just kind of, like, short fused. And we just, like, all that communication that we had, just, like, I don't know, it went out the window. And then she just started being really, like, rude to me.
Okay. You said something happened. Was it the Genesis switch, or do you...
I don't know if it was that or what, because, like, with Genesis, like, one of the main issues we have right now is the referral system, and there's a bunch of rules to referrals and, like, how long you have to, like, deal with them, and you need two people to handle one referral, basically. Like, someone has to accept the referral and then someone has to, like, schedule it. And so she hasn't been going in and doing her part with the new, like, when we switched over with accepting or rejecting referrals, and then I can't do my part, and then I'm getting yelled at by my NCOs because the referral system, like, we're not handling the referrals in the time frame, and so we're getting, like, hit by the hospital. Like, big hospital leadership is coming at us about how we're not handling referrals and, like, we're delaying people's care. And so I, like, have tried to ask her, like, really nicely, like, hey, could you make sure, like, either, like, starting the day or ending the day that you go in and clean out the referral box for me, like, accept reject, so that I can go in and schedule all of them. And so she said, yeah, sure, that I'll do that, but then she doesn't do it. So I had to start doing it for her, like, literally, like, have her log on the computer when she's, like, not in her office, and I have to go through and handle all the referrals, and then I have to go back and schedule them on my computer. And that was kind of where I told her I was getting frustrated. I was like, I shouldn't have to do your job and my job. And I probably didn't say that very well because she got really mad when I said that. And then we just kind of, like, lost communication from there.
Okay. But, I mean, in the moment you were frustrated when you said it.
Yeah, I just definitely could work on... I could have said it differently. I was very annoyed at that point, and I should have thought about what I said before I said it. So I definitely, like, made the situation worse. I was really frustrated, so I feel like I'm entitled to my feelings, but also, like, she should just do her freaking job.
No, I would agree with you. Everyone is entitled to their feelings, and it sounds like you are picking up after her a lot, and she just doesn't seem... It's almost like she doesn't necessarily care that you're being overwhelmed. And although you say that you approach the situation a bit, I would say aggressively, and correct me if you think I'm wrong.
That's accurate.
Okay.
I was aggressive.
Yeah. Although that happened, I mean, her defensiveness kind of shut down the communication completely. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I would agree, because I definitely tried to be nice, and I was like, hey ma'am, like, can you just make sure you get in there and you, like, knock these referrals out and whatever. And I did try to do that consistently, just, like, as, like, reminders, or sending her emails like, hey, please make sure you do referrals today. And then we just weren't getting anywhere. So then because I was so nice, I went on the other end and was, like, not nice. I wasn't being, like, assertive. I was just being aggressive.
Okay. And I mean, you have to... picking up after somebody else's workload, especially when you said you manage 3 other clinics too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have 3 clinics total, and this is the one that's the biggest clinic and has the most problems.
Mm-hmm. And that's where she works at.
Yeah.
And that's where that kind of barrier to working well together is happening. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think you have every right to be upset, you know. Yeah. And sometimes we can't control what comes out of our mouths. I think I'm sure you've seen it as a behavioral health specialist. Sometimes people get into those frictions. I mean, we're not perfect, so I think it's, although that aggressive manner of approaching it did not work, I don't think that necessarily the barriers to communication exist. Maybe the supervisor would be fine with just sitting down and having a discussion. Yeah. But that's something that might be approached in a different, at a later time. I'm not trying to offer solutions, just saying that.
No, I see that.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Okay. So, it sounds like this is the main source of your stress. It's supervisor drama, work drama, things like that. Is there anything else going on in the background? Maybe home life, stuff like that?
No, honestly, like, my marriage is great. I've been with my husband for, I think 7 years. I always forget. He's super supportive, and we don't have any issues. I have a good support system. Like, I have a friend, like, my best friend lives here too. I think all of my stress is stemming from work, and then that in turn is leaking out into other parts of my life.
Okay, so leaking out into other parts of your life. What are those parts that it's leaking out into?
I mean, probably my husband. Like, we have a great marriage, and he's super supportive of me, but I definitely leave work in a bad mood, so then I come home and I'm more snappy or irritable. So, like, he's a very chill, relaxed, easy-going person, but I imagine, like, he doesn't appreciate if I, like, snap at him. Even if I apologize, I'm like, I didn't mean that, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not able to leave work at work right now because it's just consuming my entire day, and I'm spending, like, 8 to 12 hours a day dealing with this supervisor that I don't like. So then I come home and I'm in a bad mood, and then I can't enjoy the time that I do have with my husband.
And I think that's I think it's fair to say that that's understandable, because when you're home, you're home. I think I'm a very big believer in go home and you leave work at work. But since you're picking up after two people's workload, well, yours and hers, then it can get very stressful. So are there any other areas where this is kind of being leaked into? The stresses?
I mean, it's impacting my physical fitness. Like, in the Army, we have to be physically fit. And because I'm at work so long every day, because I'm trying to take care of my work, my supervisor's work, and my other 2 clinics, like, I'm not able to just work, like, 7 to 4 or whatever. Like, our clinic is open, like, 8 to 4:30, so I get there a little bit early, but I'm having to stay super late. So some days I'm not even leaving till, like, 7. And so then I get home, I'm exhausted. I try to see my husband, and then we go to bed, and then I don't have any motivation to get up and, like, work out. And before work, 'cause I'm so tired, and then when I get off work, I'm not working out because I'm just tired and running out of time in the day. And so if I have a choice between seeing my husband or working out, I'm, like, not choosing working out. So I definitely have gotten, like, I've fallen out of shape.
So that work-life balance is definitely hitting a lot of areas.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's really affecting your marriage too badly, but it's definitely affecting that relationship.
Yeah, the communication is just not very good.
Communication's off, yes, and then of course your physical fitness, which is important to maintain in the military.
Yeah, and then I don't eat very much, like, because I'm so busy, I don't have time to, like, sit down and go have lunch. Like, I don't have time. Like, I get to work and I hit the ground running. I'm running my front desk because my MSAs call out all the time. I'm doing the work of my supervisors. I, like, am busy all day. I'm seeing patients. I'm running groups. I'm doing all these things. And then lunchtime, whenever we close for lunch for an hour, like, I don't get to use that hour to go eat, like, lunch, right? Like, I have to go catch up on all this other crap that I'm doing. So my physical fitness is crap. My diet is crap. And I'm just grumpy all the time.
Okay. What about your sleep? Is this issue affecting your sleep at all?
No, because I'm so tired every day that I literally am, like, dead to the world. Like, I get in bed and I'm out. But I don't wake up feeling rested, so I could see maybe, like, subliminally, maybe it's, like, impacting my sleep quality.
Okay. Would you say that you're sleeping more than you were before this issue started?
On the weekends, yes. Like, I feel like on the weekends, I'm just trying to catch up from the week. And so I'll, like, go to bed early and I'll sleep in super late. And I just, like, don't have motivation to do anything. So I'm just so tired and exhausted from the week.
And before this issue with your supervisor started, how many hours of sleep a night would you say you were getting before?
Probably like 7. 7's, like, my sweet spot. I feel like if I sleep too much more than 7, I wake up and I'm, like, groggy and I just don't feel good.
And now, let's say during the week, because you said you catch up during the weekend. So how many? You said you probably sleep more because once you get home, you're just done. So is that number up more than 7?
Yeah, I go to bed at like I go to bed at 10. I'm trying to think. During the week, I go to bed around 10, and then I wake up at 5. So how many hours is that? That's 7. So during the week, I'm still getting the same amount of sleep. I just don't feel as rested as I used to. And then, like, on the weekends, I'll go to bed at like 9 and wake up at like 11 the next day. So I'm getting, what is that? 9 to 11, 9, 14
That's
hours of
almost 14,
sleep,
yes.
and I still feel so tired all the time. Like, I just don't want to do anything but sleep on the weekends.
Oh, wow. And so before you were experiencing this issue, you said that, well, you said now your appetite, well, not necessarily appetite, but you're not eating as much because you don't have the time.
Yeah, I just don't have time.
Okay. How many meals a day would you say you're eating?
Like 1.5. My husband cooks, so I always get dinner, but breakfast is normally like I'm grabbing a banana and I'm running out the door, and then lunch is I don't have time for it.
Yeah, that's definitely, I'd say that's definitely rough because, I mean,
Yeah.
you have a lot of stress on your plate, and trying to deal with nutrition and that, it's rough.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, I definitely can feel the effects of it.
Okay. So you said you have your best friend here. That's one of your support systems. So is your husband.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that you talk to about this issue?
No, not really. I'm not super close with my family, so I just really have my husband and my best friend. But she's also in the Army, and she's still military, and she has kids, and so I feel like I can talk to her, but I also feel like I'm impeding on her life sometimes because she has so much going on that she doesn't have a lot of time to just like leave and like meet up with me for like lunch or something, right? Like she has 2 kids and a husband, so I try not to burden her with my issues.
Okay. No, yeah, but your issues definitely, they do matter, especially, you know,
Yeah.
since they're taking such a huge toll on your life.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what for future sessions, what would you like to work on as far as this issue? So it sounds to me, and I'm just going to throw some suggestions out there. If
Okay.
I'm wrong, then please feel free to let me know.
Okay.
It sounds to me like possibly communication could be a target that we can work on, like how we can effectively approach the supervisor, say, you know, this is the issue that I'm having, and this is where I feel like things are a bit unfair. So working on that effective communication, is that something that you might be interested in?
Yeah, I think that would help. I feel like I'm like a little bit fiery sometimes or spicy, and so if I'm irritated, like you're gonna know I'm irritated, and so maybe helping me figure out how to better manage my emotions. I think sometimes I don't think before I speak, and that's probably why I'm worse off with my supervisor right now. Like I could, if I maybe spoke differently to her so that she would like listen more, I might be able to like make progress with her maybe. Like I don't know that we're going to view life the same, but we might be able to have at least a good working relationship.
Okay. And I think that's a very positive outlook.
Yeah.
So effective communication, and possibly even looking at coping skills for moments where you said you might get a little overstimulated with your emotions. You know, the anger might come out, and that anger turns into aggressive speaking, and then that's when the communication shuts down. So coping skills for anger, maybe that might work.
Yeah, that, or maybe like sometimes I need like a quick fix. So maybe something that like when I get angry, like I don't know if like there's something that we can do where I can cool myself down really fast and then like be able to communicate better.
Okay, like possibly when you feel yourself getting angry before you need to go and communicate with somebody, possibly like a breathing technique or a grounding technique, something that will help you kind of release a little bit of the anger and better control the communication going forward.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be super helpful.
Okay. And then what else do you think that we could work on to help this situation?
I don't know. I really feel like there's just a huge communication barrier between us because she doesn't talk to me nicely, so then I'm not going to, if you don't give me respect, I'm not going to give it back.
Right.
And so if I can, I guess, better communicate with her, but I also need to figure out how to get her to understand where I'm coming from. But that's probably a me thing. So I really think that helping me learn like how to communicate or talk to people better would be like the number one thing that would help me right now. And then I don't know. I feel like that's just really what I need to focus on.
Okay, I think that's good. So yeah, during the next few sessions, if time constraints, we'll talk about it in a second if we can, we're going to go over some of those effective communication skills that hopefully will help you with that supervisor, and those breathing techniques or coping skills for anger, which can definitely help out especially not just with that supervisor, but say you're feeling frustrated or angry before you get home. Practice them in the car before you walk through the door, things like that. So you're not kind of taking out that irritability at home on your husband.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, yeah. So one thing that I did gloss over, what about hobbies? What do you do kind of to de-stress when you have the time?
I really like taking my dogs to the dog park because they like to get out. And then I really like reading. And I like going to the markets on the weekend. There's like a a guy that like comes out to this market that happens on Sundays here, and I always buy plants.
Okay, awesome. Okay, do you practice those hobbies often, or would you say that you can do them less now?
I think I definitely do them less than I used to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because of your workload, it's cutting into that time where you can actually do your hobbies, or even just spend time with your husband at home. Because you mentioned earlier, you get home, you're super tired, you go right to bed.
Yeah, and then like on the weekends I used to read, but now I'm so tired that I just like don't read anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I think that's definitely something that we can look at improving too, is hobbies, self-care, because as an X-ray, I think, yeah, I'm sure you've learned self-care is very important for people in the mental health field.
Yeah.
Because we're often burnt out a lot. It's a very tough field, especially when you deal with coworkers, supervisor, colleagues that unfortunately are like your supervisor, who are tough to deal with, tough to work with, let's say. Okay. So next we're just going to go over a few things that I go over in every session.
Okay.
With every patient, or with every client, excuse me. So I want to talk about risk. Any risk in the past. So throughout your entire life, as far as you can remember, have you ever had any thoughts of killing yourself?
No.
What about harming yourself?
No.
No. What about killing anybody else or harming anybody else? Nope. Okay. I'm going to ask this question. It might seem a little off, but have you ever heard or seen things that maybe weren't there, or thought you saw maybe a shadow in the distance or something that, somebody else didn't see? Nothing like that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So have you ever had any mental health treatment in the past? Therapy, hospitalizations, anything like that?
No.
Okay. Okay. And you would say your protective factors are your best friends, your husband, things like that. Your hobbies, although you don't really get to do them that often, those are things that can definitely help you out, definitely help you de-stress, things like that.
Yeah.
Although, I don't think you're necessarily at risk. It's just you're under a lot of work stress. Okay. So following these next sessions, do you think there's any barriers for you coming back for a next session or follow-on sessions, things like that?
Honestly, probably just schedule. Like, I'm so busy. I have such a hard time finding, like I said earlier, I can't even barely find time to eat. So I definitely am going to struggle with, like, making it to the appointments.
Okay. And I mean, that's fine. I understand that. But,
yeah.
We can work around that. I know that our front desk schedule's out, believe 3 months. So if we can work that as far out as we can for you, then we'll see what time works best for you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So just to summarize what we talked about in the session. So we went over kind of our expectations for this beginning session, that limits of confidentiality. We went over your main stressor, which is work stress. You know, having trouble with your supervisor, you're picking up after her workload, seems like every day, and then it's making you lose quality sleep. Not lose sleep, but quality sleep, because you're still feeling tired. It's definitely affecting how much you eat. It's affecting how often you can, do your hobbies, things like that. It's affecting your relationship with your husband. Although it does affect that, you do have your husband to talk to, and I'm sure that he's very understanding.
Yeah.
Same thing with your best friend, although you don't feel like, although you feel like you don't want to burden her. I mean, if she's there to listen, that's a great thing, and I think that you do recognize that.
Yeah.
And Yeah, and then so next session we're going to go over some effective communication skills, coping skills for anger management specifically, things like that. And then, yeah, barriers are just schedule, but we're going to try to work around that as much as possible because we do want to kind of tackle that as soon as we can, because as soon as we can get past this work stressor, I think the better your quality of life will be.
Yeah.
And that'll be better, because we want to get you eating better, of course, sleeping better.
I think as long as I have it like scheduled and it's like on my calendar, I'll just make it work.
Okay.
And I'll make it to come to these appointments.
Awesome. All right. So, before we end today, do you have any questions for me?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing?
I'm good.
All right. Awesome. So our next steps is I'm gonna walk you up to the front with an appointment slip. Our MSA up there is gonna schedule for the next appointment, and then hopefully we'll see you here soon.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds
good. And I do hope that things get a little better. I think one thing I would recommend is, if you can, I know your schedule's pretty hectic. If you can, try and get some of those hobbies in, even if it's in a little bit longer of a walk with your dogs, or if you can spend a little more time at the market, get some plants, whatever you like to do.
Okay.
Try and get that in a little bit more often, because I think you'll find that it'll help you kind of relax a little bit more, and it'll definitely improve your quality of life.
Okay, I'll try.
All right. That's about it. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.